Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is the Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab, the Indy Report, episode 665. And I know this is a little bit different for you guys for this show. You know, normally it's me, Tariq, Mr. King, and Jeff Johnson, but we got some special guests today because we got a phenomenal interview for you guys coming after the break. We got Dr. Cavil. And we got Charles Bishop. How you guys doing this lovely evening?
Doing well. It's good to be on with you today, bro.
It's gonna be good fun to see today. You guys. Yeah, I'm a little intimidated. I'm on with the legends today, so man, I gotta step up my game today.
You too kind, man. You too kind. We look like we got to write them checks and make them a little bigger. I must admit myself, man, this is pretty cool, you know, being the guest on the name of your show. I know this is the Indy Report, and y'all do a great job, and I appreciate the work that you're doing and being able to add additional flavor to the show. So I really appreciate the work you did and commitment, because I know it goes a long way in a lot of your time to figure out a way to do it. But with that being said, I'm a little excited, man. I get to sit like one seat over.
And I'm not as dressed as you, Dr. Cavil. Like I got my A&T track and field shirt on because we got the East preliminary round starting today for the Aggies. So I'm just waiting for that to come on right now. But I'm gonna go ahead and run through the intro. Welcome to episode 665 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab Radio Show and Podcast, a show that's covering the HBCU sporting diaspora, all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture and HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, David L. Rhodes, and I have my partner in crime, Tariq Wilson. That's a special guest, Dr. Cavil, and Charles Bishop. Brandon King's on assignment, but he might make an appearance later, and Jeffrey Johnson is definitely on assignment with those twins. We are filming from our studios, home studios, and sending a signal live to our KCOH 12:30 a.m. studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Gentlemen.
It's a mouthful, isn't it, Charles? Y'all got it?
Big time.
And you don't have to worry about your tie. It's summer months. You see, even I just had a polo on. I take off the tie, man. It's summer months, man.
Look, man, I only wear the ties when needed when I'm at the workplace. I had to throw a tie on a few weeks ago. I had to present for a bunch of folks, so I threw the suit and tie on that day. But you know,
you did your thing too.
Oh, I killed it. You talk about me and my life and my career. That was easy money.
Yeah, that's easy.
That's easy money.
That's what I like to hear.
Nice.
That's easy money. Shout out,
man. How's things going over there in your part, man? I see y'all jumped on the show and watch y'all doing your thing, man. You bring it hot and heavy, man. You don't back down.
Yeah, we try, man. We try. We've been practicing on our own show for a long time, so we learned to piss people off over there. So we just try to do the same thing here. Man, we done had presidents mad at us, ADs mad at us, coaches, players, parents. So that means we're doing something right.
I was about to say that means you're doing something right.
That is correct.
We're respectful though. But nobody likes to be talked about, so
yeah, you got to do it respectfully. You go wrong.
But how you doing, Mr. Bishop?
Doing well. I tell you, coming off the SWAC baseball tournament from last week, kind of getting an opportunity to get my sea legs back under me again and get these workouts up and going again. But enjoyed it tremendously in terms of baseball from the SWAC tournament, and looking forward to this interview with Coach Hernandez, with Don Cookman. I guess I was so immersed in it last week. Doc told me, he was like, they went undefeated in the tournament. I was like, wow. It just didn't dawn on me that they had that dominant a performance. So.
And that's their first SWAC championship too, if I recall correct. That's their first SWAC championship in the conference.
Yeah, first team.
Mm-hmm.
The AD Drew had a chance to interview him right after the game, and we played it on the show yesterday. And the AD made sure to let everybody know that they won a championship in track as an individual event, but it's certainly the first team championship.
Okay. No, I mean it's great. I mean, for Hampton and us, we got our first one in the CAA this year. So, but no, props to them, because one thing Bethune-Cookman's always been good at, man, was baseball. And I think I was arguing with some folks on social media about it. I'm like, yeah, I don't think you realize, like, Bethune-Cookman and baseball goes hand in hand. It was just a matter of time. It was just a matter of return.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. They won 10 or so in the MEAC.
Yeah, they were a terror.
Automatic.
2 different coaches. One of them, Melendez, put up 8 before he came to Alabama State. We used to like to pick on Melendez because it took him a little while to get over the hump. While he was killing it in the regular season, won several divisions, but couldn't quite get it done in the tournament. He finally knocked that off that block right after he took over the helms there in terms of Alabama State. So it's a lot of good work in terms of looking at what happens in the SWAC. We're pretty proud of baseball. Everybody thinks about what we try to talk about in football, which obviously is healthy, particularly for those folks that look to focus on it. And then a little bit of basketball here. I'm not sure about the CIAA in terms of the MEAC. I might do that a little bit better, I have to admit, but certainly a proud history in the SWAC in regards to that. But baseball, for those folks that deep dive into SWAC, man, baseball is big deal.
Yeah, we had a big discussion about it on Twitter regarding like baseball and the fact that the SWAC is pretty much holding the anchor from an HBCU standpoint. Like, we got a couple of HBCU teams going, like A&T still there in the CAA. We got a few former from MEAC teams playing in the NEC. But overall, the SWAC has been pretty much holding that anchor for a while, because somebody asked me the question, well, why doesn't the MEAC have baseball? And I had to pretty much lay it out. I said a couple schools left, A&T, a couple schools left, and then when the school down the road had to dissolve their program, that pretty much put them under the limit, so they had to merge with the NEC. But a lot of other institutions, like I didn't realize that it's been over 20 years since Howard had a baseball team. Like, it's that's something like, so it was a good discussion point when it comes to that. But from a baseball standpoint, from HBCU perspective, in Division I, SWAC's holding the helm there.
I didn't know the SWAC was good before Bethune and FAMU came. I didn't know that baseball was a big thing down there.
Huge.
Oh yeah, it was huge. For the longest, it was 3 teams that were serious about baseball while people followed it, which was Jackson State, Grambling, and Southern. So for the longest, in terms of championships, let's say the modern era of the SWAC, you go back to the 40s. If you had Bishop College when they were still in there, Texas College, they won some championship. Prairie View as a founding member won a championship. But in terms of the modern era, when you get into the 60s, certainly 70s, it wasn't until the 2000s that Texas Southern broke the curse, where there were only 3 teams that had won the tournament championship. That was Grambling, Southern, and Jackson, and they dominated. And you'd have to probably give a little hands-on to Southern as they pulled away a little later in terms of the number of championships. Obviously, they've been in the conference for a longer period of time, as Jackson State folks would remind you about that. But those are the teams that pulled it out. Texas Southern, as I said, broke the curse, and then it came crumbling down where everybody said, we want a piece of this. Prairie View, Alcorn State, if you would, got in the mix. Alabama State finally knocked the curtain down and got a championship. And so after that, it's been real serious with it changing hands. So for the last 5 years, for example, now that Bethune-Cookman officially has done it, there's been 5 different baseball championships. Now, all 5 of those teams, and I'll add in Jackson State to make a 6th one, if you would, have been in the race in terms of like the final 4 or 5 teams. Those been consistently, when you talk about this past year, Bethune-Cookman, before that, Grambling knocked down that door last year. Year before that, it was FAMU with their first SWAC baseball championship. And before that, you got in there who am I missing, Charles? What Southern? When you talk about what that looks like, when you talk about those teams being in the mix, playing for before that was Alabama State and then Southern. In terms of that, and so you're right, it's deep. A lot of folks bragging right, quite diverse sport in terms of athletes that play it, which is a unique terms and culture for us that have followed the Negro Leagues. It kind of reminds you of that in terms of those cultures. When you think about the Negro Leagues, particularly when they would go to Mexico, play some games, certainly in terms of the Caribbean, so you would see that as well. So, a lot of mix, a lot of culture in terms of what that looks like. So people pretty proud in terms of that. So when FAMU and Bethune-Cookman came over, it kind of ratcheted up and it took it up to higher states in terms of what that looks like. First year that you had the long divisions, so that was the different way that people got back interested in, because you used to have just the 2 5-team divisions, 16 divisions, and this really goes back to 76. I was thinking before 89, before the 10-member SWAC, but it goes back to 76 when they played in division before that, where Southern did the double-double, if you would, regular season and the tournament. Then Jackson State did it a couple of years before that in 73, and they did the double-double.
I know for me, growing up in Jackson, I mean, the Jackson State Southern Series, you talk about the culture part of it. I mean, it was standing room only around the ball field. I mean, we started kind of tailgating around the baseball.
Y'all tailgate anywhere.
Yeah.
And then
the SWAC tournament used to be in Natchez, Mississippi. So it was always a huge contingent of us going down to Natchez and being college students. But it was always Jackson State Southern down there. And it was always like a big mega event, in terms of whenever we played them. So I don't care if it's Tiddlywinks, Jackson State Southern, it's going to be fun. So.
I'm glad you brought that up, that people don't realize. You talking about some tailgates. Folks may do a little something for basketball, but the sun comes up, you get in the spring football, and then it carries right over, because folks will go tailgate for baseball as well. Legendary tailgates when you talk about Jackson State. Legendary tailgates when you talk about Southern. Houston, right there in the park, you get some good tailgates. Prairie View down there has figured out how to do some tailgates for baseball. Alcorn State. Alabama State, facility-wise, shout out to Dr. Jason Cavil. He made sure that when they decided to get serious about baseball and doing well, they matched it with the facilities. You had solid facilities at Southern and Jackson State, but in terms of the whole thing, when you get the mega scoreboards and all that kind of stuff, it's a big deal there. I know we're going to take a break. I did want to announce this before we get into it. Black College 9 crowns national champ with final top 10 poll rankings in 2025. As you would imagine, at what they call the large division, we call it the mid-major division. Bethune-Cookman University gets it done as the number 1 ranked team. Talladega does it for what they call the small division. We call it the mid-major division, as you know. I'll give you quickly just the top 5 teams, major division. You can go check out Black College 9 to get all 10. Number 5, Jackson State. Number 4, Grambling State. Number 3, Alabama State. Number 2, FAMU. Number 1, Bethune-Cookman University Wildcats get it done. All top 5 teams of the SWAC. When you look at the list, only one of the 9 teams, as you talked about, Tariq, how much the SWAC is in it. 9 of the 10 teams are from the SWAC in terms of what we call the major division. They call it.
I guess A&T's the outlier.
Yep, A&T get in the mix. Credit to them. I knew you would pull it out. That's why I was going to say the top 5. Top 5 teams out of the small division, a little more equitable in terms of conference, if you would. Starting off with number 5, Wildly University. HBCU AC conference, and then you go number 4, Edward Waters University SIAC, another team out of Florida. Number 3 is Savannah State SIAC. Number 2 is Albany State SIAC. Number 1 team that won the championship there, according to the Black College 9, is Talladega out of the HBCU AC. So 3 out of the SIAC, 2 out of the HBCU, 2 out of the NIA in terms of HBCU AC, and 2 out of the Division 2. Just announced that according to Black College 9s by Jay Sokol. I voted in that poll, so I wanted to show a little love. Charles votes in the poll as well. We need to get y'all guys to play, to get into some baseball, man. I know Hampton used to have it. They gave it up. All it.
I wasn't born. Based on what Adam said, I wasn't born. I wasn't born the last time Hampton had a squad.
Never seen it. I don't even know where they were playing.
I would, according to Mr. Spencer, man, I wasn't even born when they had a squad. You know what I'm saying?
He said some figment of imagination.
Yeah.
All right, we need to go. We got Coach Hernandez is here, so we're gonna go to break. And when we come back, we're gonna interview the SWAC championship Bethune-Cookman Wildcats head baseball coach Johnny Hernandez. So we'll be right back after this.
He act like he heard him. He won't say MEAC. See, get it up. This is SWAC, man.
No, you good? No, you good. Listen. I'm gonna tell you what, and we'll get into it more. But when we look at the bracket that they're in, it is a fascinating bracket. Fascinating bracket.
Yeah, you're right.
The quad that they have, it's fascinating. It could go to anybody. I'll be honest with you. But we'll be right back after this break.
I like it.
Planning an event? From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural tastes, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Welcome back to episode 665 of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. This is the Indy report, but we're going to do some SWAC things today because we have the SWAC championship coach, head baseball coach, Coach Johnny Hernandez. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, man. How's everybody doing? Hopefully you guys have had a great start to your week. I know we have, as we're preparing for an exciting time for our university and our baseball program.
All right, Dr. Cavil, I'm going to let you take the anchor here, sir. I'm going to let you run
right,
with it now.
I appreciate it. No problem. We'll spread it around to make sure we get everyone to get some questions in there, and I appreciate that opportunity. I wanted to list, I just talked about the Black College Nines National Championship. You win a conference championship, regular season, and tournament. You're undefeated in the tournament. I looked a little closer and started talking about the schedule. Obviously you won the conference by a half a game in terms of it played, but when you start looking a little deeper, obviously you took on Maryland Eastern Shore out of the NEC HBCU program. You took 4 from them. Then you played Jackson State number 5 team. You took 2 out of 3 from them. You had Southern ranked number 6 in the final poll ranking. You took 2 out of 3 from them. You also faced FAMU, that's number 2. You swept them in terms of the regular season. And then you took on Alabama State. You swept them. That was ranked number 3. You did go on the road, had a little huck up there against UAPB, where they got you 2 out of 3, but you bounced back, like I said, against Alabama State. Then you went to Grambling. You took 2 out of there. The last game there was canceled because of the weather, but you took 2 from them. And then you had Texas Southern. Grambling's ranked 4, Texas Southern ranked 8. You took 2 out of 3 from them. You go in the tournament. You defeat Texas Southern. That's 4 games in a row. You got them. You faced Alabama State. All those games were very close, but you took 5 from Alabama State this year. And then you faced with your rival to make sure they left no question in terms of your ranking and what you all were chasing, and you get FAMU again. Again, all these teams top of the conference. This is amazing when you really look at what you're able to do. We hadn't seen anything quite like this since '76. Southern was able to win the regular season and tournament. Before that, 73 with Jackson State, as I said, before you came in. Just talk about how proud of you, this team, when you really stack it up, what you're able to achieve. I'm not sure if you really had a chance to look at it because you're focused on this regional this week, but I'd be remiss if I didn't let at least the listeners understand what you and your team were able to do this season.
I mean, Doc, putting it in that terms, I mean, there's no other way to say it but just impressive, right? You have an appreciation about, going to work every single day, punching in that clock, that lunch pail mentality, blue collar approach. And, for us, we don't worry about, anybody else. We just try and take care of business, right? With amongst ourselves, So when you start stacking the days, good things like this happen. Right. I mean, it's impressive. I hadn't even looked at it that way, to be honest with you. We were just trying to take care of business one day at a time, so I appreciate you for, putting it all together like that. The other part about it is with so much parity in the league. I mean, this is a very competitive baseball league. And I think that one of the things get lost. We get, caught up in football, basketball, rightfully so, because those are the two, big sports that the SWAC has. But, man, baseball is just right there. And I've said it. I think that baseball is the one sport that has the opportunity to uplift and continue to uplift the Southwestern Athletic Conference on a national scale. You look at our non-conference wins and our non-conference games. I mean, there's a reason why we schedule the way that we do for an opportunity, to compete in a regional. And that opportunity is here right in front of us on Friday. So if we're able to put our student athletes in that situation as many times as we can, now you're comfortable in an uncomfortable setting. So it's much more than just playing the game. It's getting our guys getting used to the environment, because if it does happen, then you know what? We've been here, kind of done that situation. And listen, UAPB, I think I was on the air with you guys previewing that series. And I said it. No. And I said it in that weekend. Anything can happen because UAPB was a really good baseball team, and we don't take anybody lightly, man. It could be the top of the conference. It could be, the bottom teams in the conference as far as record is concerned. I have the utmost respect for every head coach, in our conference and all the programs, because at the end of it, everyone's trying to beat each other in the games, but there's a mutual respect amongst the head coaches, because we all are in it together to have all 12 of us uplift the Southwestern Athletic Conference and continue to evolve our conference on a baseball standpoint. But I mean, just like you put it all, Doc, it's very impressive that what we've done. And I'm kind of taken back because I didn't see it that way. I just was worried about our guys being ready just every time, the umpire said play ball, just let's be ready and put them in a situation to succeed. And, they've done everything, and the work of our assistant coaches as well. And along with the support of our administration, this is, the fruit of everyone's labor.
So 37 wins. Charles, go ahead.
Yeah, and Coach, I wanted to look at a couple things within the tournament, because from talking to the coaches, it's always the first game. If you can get past the first game, that's the one that almost kind of sets the momentum for the rest of the tournament. But I wanted to talk about the pitch performance of Edward Sanchez because going back to that first game against Texas Southern, and from talking to the guys at Texas Southern, they were pretty confident going into that game against you all, but they had just seen you at the end of the year. But the fact that Edward was able to pitch, I believe, 6 scoreless innings, and it kind of steadied the ship so that the bats could get things up and going. How big was that performance?
I think it was huge. And Charles, if you remember, in the second inning, I think there was an error or something that happened, and we just didn't like the body language that Edwin had. So we settled him down and just told him, hey, man, just pitch your game. We're going to be okay, right? And I think that game, it was a different type of game for us because as you saw in the tournament and during the course of the regular year, our offense, can just flip the switch and score 5, 6, 7 runs in a hurry. That was a different type of baseball game that we had to win. It was a run here. Then it was the home run. Then the double steal to tie the game, right? It was just a different type of baseball game that we were able to play. And that's one of the big things with our offense. Yes, we can hit the long ball, right? We can hit doubles and we can slug. But at the same time, we're not one-dimensional. We can hit and run. We can move guys over. Base running is such a big part of our program and our offensive philosophy. But again, the first game, I think that once we got past Texas Southern, I think everyone took kind of a sigh. I don't want to say a sigh of relief, but yes, it was like, all right, we're here. Now let's get back to BCU baseball moving forward.
And the other pitcher, to me, he was like an unsung hero because I remember one specific moment. Bases were loaded, and Yancel Diaz was able to get out of that jam. Yeah, but just talk about his performance in the tournament.
It's been great. And again, like Yo-Yo's been with us for 5 years, and him and Irvin Escobar are 5th-year seniors. They were with us when our program opted out of athletics, and both of those guys had opportunities to leave the program to pursue other opportunities, and they stayed. They stayed loyal to our program and our vision and what we wanted to do. And just the progression of Yo-Yo, even last year in the tournament, I mean, we were up big against PV. That was his role, 2 innings shutout, get us going. We had depth on the mound, and a guy that has worked his way to being a huge part of our bullpen and our pitching staff. I couldn't be any prouder, than Yoancel Diaz. And even in that situation in game 2, where there was 2 outs, we were up by 1 and there was an error that he made with the tie and run at second, it was my time to go out there and talk to him, and just let him know, hey, man, we got the utmost confidence in you. Let's just get this guy out and we're going to be okay. And I think he needed that. He needed somebody to tell him, hey, we're going to be okay. We believe in you. Let's get it done. But just the overall development and just the evolution that Yoancel has had coming in as an 18-year-old high school, graduate, right? Recent high school graduate to now a 22, 23-year-old man. Just I couldn't be, any prouder than Yoancel Diaz.
Mm-hmm. Tariq, get in here and talk a little bit baseball with Coach.
Hey, how you doing, Coach? Yep, congratulations. So, just a spectator. We don't have a baseball program, but I do appreciate championships and winning. So,
there you go.
So I always, sports is always, coaching is cool, but you got to have the players, right? So, how did you construct a roster, and what kind of guys do you look for, to build your roster? Like, what's important to you? Because I used to play baseball too, but then I got too big and played football. But what's important to you?
Man, I think the biggest thing is obviously the ability to play at the Division I level. That's the first and foremost thing that we look at. Do they have the talent to be able to play at this level? You look at our schedule year in and year out, man. We're playing Miami, Florida, Florida State, UCF. I mean, Division I baseball in the state of Florida is pretty tough. As you see, we're going to a regional, and Florida State's the number 9 national seed. So, we have to be able to identify players that have the ability to play at the Division I level. Okay. And what that looks like, every roster is different, in the world of NIL and transfer portal. The transfer portal is not something that, we sit on 24/7, to be honest with you, because we just don't. Now, that doesn't mean that we won't pull certain, student athletes from the transfer portal if it fits our system and what we're trying to do, whether it be on the offensive side or whether it be on the pitching side. But for us, the key, I think, is the junior college student athlete. The junior college student athlete for us, we've hit, home runs, not to, no pun intended, but, that we've been successful in that market. There's a lot of junior college baseball players that are still uncommitted because of the landscape that we're in right now. And I believe in the junior college process because I myself was a junior college head baseball coach for 4 or 5 years. It's and again, college baseball, the rosters are getting older. Not to say that there's not any good high school seniors that are still uncommitted, but in all reality, you have an 18-year-old kid going up against a 23, 24-year-old man. There is a maturity disparity. There's a physical disparity. As far as like the attributes is concerned, there's a mental part of the game, that an 18-year-old kid hasn't gone through, as opposed to the 22, 23-year-old, that's somebody picks up at the transfer portal or whatnot. But for us, I enjoy the junior college process. I enjoy recruiting junior college guys because they understand what it means, to get on 8, 9, 10-hour bus rides. They understand, that, hey, man, like we don't have all the resources in the world. They're just doing it for the love of the game. And not to say that nobody else does, but there's a different appreciation, for a junior college kid when he gets at the Division I level. So that's, I know we can go deeper into that topic, but, I just think that I have a responsibility to say what we look for in our program, and we've got some high school kids that we do sign, and we have junior college kids that we have signed already. And the portal opens up, in a week. We may pick and choose or pick what guys, but our sole concentration is not on the transfer portal. It's definitely the best available player for also what the roster needs at that time.
Mm-hmm.
There's only so many pitchers we can carry. There's only so many catchers and now with the roster restrictions, we're going from 40 to 34. So now even in our own roster, we have our own decisions to make once, our season is over. So again, it's just so many variables that come into play that, it's a lot. But, at the end of the day, if you're straightforward with, the kids you're recruiting and the kids that are on your roster, I think that it goes for a smooth transition. At least you would hope so.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty smooth there, Coach.
Well done.
Hitter of the year, Andre Martinez, with the walk-off home run. Talking about home run, no pun intended. Get better than the walk-off. Great question, Tariq. I'm glad you got into that. With that, let me go to the real host of the show. Go ahead, Dave.
So I want to talk about this bracket, man, because I'm fascinated by the teams that are in it with you guys. I know you guys got Florida State up next. So I just want your thoughts. You guys played a pretty close one against them earlier in the season. You lost a close one, 7-9. So give me your thoughts about the teams within the bracket, particularly Florida State. Like my school's in the CAA, so I know a decent chunk about Northeastern and how good they are as well. Not too much about Mississippi State, but just give me your thoughts about the 3 other teams in the bracket with you.
Man, Florida State, Link Jarrett has done a phenomenal job taking over that program. You talk about a guy that has a lot of pride in the institution. I mean, he played there, he coached there, and now he's the head coach running the show at Florida State. One of the things that, I found, to be true, is that Florida State is going to be prepared. There's not going to be, any surprises. They do a really good job when we go and play Florida State. Coach Jarrett's there hitting fungos, talking to everybody, just very in tune and engaged with his team. And that's what you would expect from a top, 9 national seed. They're going to pitch with the best of them. They got some really good arms in their starting rotation. Their bullpen's really good. Offensively, they can hit for power. They can hit for average. They can beat you in so many ways. And they don't make the fundamental mistakes. They are very fundamentally oriented baseball program. And again, they're not the flashiest type, but they just do things the right way that needs to get done. And, again, I'm excited, for that matchup on Friday. Northeastern, they're coming in 26-game win streak or 27-game win streak. Yep, it's the longest win streak in the country. That's a team that, just looking over the numbers, they pitch very well. And they cause a ton of chaos on the bases to the defense. I think they have well over 190 bags stolen or some stat like that. That's, crazy. But, they're going to put pressure on the defense. And, they're a number 2 seed as a mid-major. And that is something that, again, the CAA conference is a very tough conference. So they've earned that right. And they've had a miraculous year. And, man, kudos to them for doing what they need to do and being a number 2 seed, in our regional. Then you got Mississippi State, you know, SEC team, man. You can't count the SEC out in any tournament, regardless of what regional or what seed they're in. It's an SEC team at the end of the day. I think they're 9-2 in their last 11 games after the coaching change that they had. And again, you get a team that, you know, has nothing to lose. You know, in all reality, they're playing for each other. You know, and it's unfortunate that their head coach was let go, you know, a couple of weeks ago, but you can't deny the success that the interim coach has had, you know, the last, you know, 2 or 3 weeks. So it's going to be an exciting, you know, regional. I'm pumped up for it. You know, I am so, you know, humbled, man, for me to lead this team into a regional. And it's my first one. It's our first one coming out of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. And for us, man, honestly, it's to be able to showcase our brand of baseball on the national stage. And it's to uplift and show what kind of baseball the Southwestern Athletic Conference has. And, you know, for me, it's more of putting everybody, you know, on, you know, pretty much, hey, on alert or however you want to call it, not trying to do any bulletin board material, but it's to showcase our brand of baseball. And, you know, again, man, it's just whatever we can do, you know, to uplift and showcase the baseball in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. I'm all for it.
Coach, we'll promise to get you out of here on this one. Know you have a very busy schedule, and we want to make sure we let you get to that. But I'd be remiss if I didn't give you a chance to share. Got a chance to talk with you before the interview as we were setting this up. And I know you said several times, which I've heard it, one of the things that also has you so proud of this team of what they've been able to do academically. Both last semester and this semester, over 3.0, I think it was 3.5. to be exact for both semesters. But I really wanted to get into the fact we've kind of bonded over the fact that I've had a chance to bring my son to the SWAC championship game. Charles has been what we call an alpha uncle to him for since he can remember. But he gets to be on the road and he really gets excited about seeing those that I believe are folks that have been successful. So I want him to see success from folks that mirror what we bring to the table and outside of what he may not see. But I also got to see the fact that you were able to bring your son. I think this is one of the first times that you were able to do it, at least for the tournament. And he tagged along. Obviously, he's been around the team and part of that, but he was in the jersey uniform. He got to see the back cages. Even more exciting, he was on the field. So he was the bat boy with that. But when it all came down, obviously, so proud of your team. Many thoughts going through your head, I'm sure. But the fact that I think one that kind of choked you up a little bit is when your son was running around and you trying to figure out who you're going to hug and people trying to figure out how they can get you. Hey, you congratulations. Your son found you and jumped up. Talk a little bit about the emotions that went through your head beyond the championship, but to be able to do it with a family member, particularly your son, where you've given up so much of your time with oftentimes players that you mentor, and some of them will even salute you as a father figure, if not a secondary father in a lot of ways. But you get to celebrate that with so many people that have pushed you and prodded you, supported you, but no more than your son.
It was an awesome feeling. You know, I can tell you that just the entire week, it was surreal, you know, because we hadn't had that. And now he's at an age right now where he understands the game of baseball. He understands the relationship piece, you know, and I remember, you know, before we started this thing, Jake was really like, hey, we're coming back with a ring. Like we're doing it. I'm like, Jake, there's a process to it. Like, don't jinx us. Like, it's day by day. You're gonna be
Take like, look, man, I got this.
Yeah, he's like we're coming back. We're coming back. Yeah, exactly. So just the whole week, man, like him experience, you know, the first game, then the second game with the big punch out by Yo-Yo, you know, and him and Yo-Yo Yo-Yo and him. I mean, again, he was 7 years old when he met Yo-Yo. And Jake sprinting out of the dugout after that big punch out in game 2 and runs to Yo-Yo, gives him a hug. Then the walk-off, you know, on game 3 against Alabama State, you know, he's running with the guys, you know, just piling, doing everything. But, man, let me tell you, that championship game when we hit that home run, I was jumping up and down, and then I went straight to my assistant coaches. And then, like you said, everyone's trying to figure out, who to hug or whatnot. And all I hear, the one voice that I hear is just dad. Dad, where are you? Dad, dad, dad. And I turn and he just runs to me, and I broke down. I broke down emotionally because, as a professional in this sport, right, or someone that is a head coach or you work in athletics, we do sacrifice a lot of time, right? We take away time from our own family to be able to mentor and be able to have relationships with, someone else's child. And it was I don't expect our, Jake to understand it, but in that one moment, it was like an acknowledgement, like, Dad, I got you. Now I know why you're not home and you're recruiting and you're doing all the things that you need to do for your program for this one moment. So as soon as he ran into my arms, man, I broke down crying, because again, it's just 7 years of building this thing and, falling short so many times. And I reverted back to the opt-out year where we were furloughed for 8 months and I had to work Amazon, and knowing that one day I was going to have an opportunity to coach baseball again and falling short the last 3 years, it just came all, together. It came full circle and we locked up, and, he said, hey man, just thank you for bringing me on this trip. And that's, to me, much more valuable than honestly winning a SWAC championship, because that's something that no one is going to take that away from both of us. And we shared that one moment, and I'm just so blessed that he was able to come with me. And now on Friday, I got the wife coming, got the daughter coming, got the son coming again. Jake will be, there in the dugout, but it is, we spend a lot of time with other people's kids, and we do sacrifice our own families, and, you hope they understand. And for us, that week really was something that was much needed, and it was great.
Appreciate you giving us the time. I want to shout out again to Tariq and Dave for giving this opportunity to join the show and bring this to our audience, and you share that with them. You do me one favor, Coach. Give a shout out to Deuce. He's sitting out there watching, and he's still running around with his Bethune-Cookman baseball cap. With him. So
I wouldn't expect it.
I ain't told you this yet, Coach. We've been grooming this young man. He's looking at the HBCU. Obviously, I'm connected with Prairie View, so that's one place that he looks at seriously. His mom's Alabama A&M, so he pays tribute to her, and at least is nice. Then, obviously, he spends a lot of time at Texas Southern. And Charles has done his job to make sure that he's talked about Jackson State, particularly with the Sonic Boom. I don't know how all it took place, but me and Charles got separate conversations we need to get off our chest with that one. But of late, he talks about the fact that he likes the idea of the beach. So I'm not sure where that came from, but something tells me somebody's been working a little bit to get that done. But if you wouldn't mind, shout out to Deuce. He would love that.
Deuce, my man, I hope you're having a great day. I hope you're still rocking the maroon and gold. Our season's not over yet. I want you to be watching ESPN this weekend, and I just hope that the Wildcats make you proud this weekend, man. And at some point you got to get me on your show, Deuce. All right, I'm still waiting for the invite.
That's good. That's good. Last thing is, we'd be remiss if we didn't give you a chance to shout out to your team. More importantly, their family. I know baseball is a unique sport where a lot of the support comes from the family, just the way it's funded. And then the Bethune-Cookman family, alumni, administrators, all the way from your AD to your president, if you would, give you a moment to do what you need to do to let them acknowledge what they are a part of this.
Yeah, I mean, our program, it's family oriented, and even our university is, man. I'm so happy with all of the fan support, all the recent alumni support. Our players, they wear the maroon and gold jersey, with pride, with whatever background they come from. To be honest with you, I make sure that all of our guys understand, the legacy of Mary McLeod Bethune. They understand the legacy and the historic significance of Jackie Robinson and what that means to our program. It's such a great thing that our fans and our family members and our alumni have been able to support our program. And this championship is for each and every one of our maroon and gold Wildcat alumni. and fans, because without them, we're not here. You know, this is something to provide some positive light into our university. And again, we are not here without the support of everyone that supported us from the day. And I'm big, and Doc and Charles, I've told you this before. I'm not about proving people wrong. It's about proving people that have supported you and loved you from the get. It's proving them right. You know, so again, I appreciate all the support, and this doesn't happen without the support of our administration. You know, Coach Diaz, his team, George Bright, Scott Summers, Jason Pompey, you know, interim president, you know, Dr. Barry, everyone that's involved in our athletic program, man. This is, you know, something big for all of us. And when I say, you know, yes, the championship trophy was captured in baseball, but this is a BCU trophy at the end of the day.
Good stuff.
And Coach, I want to say real quick, you do a tremendous job. Congratulations, number one. But you always give us a great broadcast in terms of giving us great insight in terms of what's happening in regards to the situation there, and just very appreciative of you just carving that time, because I know it's difficult to coach and talk, you know, about what's going on situationally, but it's very appreciated.
I appreciate you guys for everything you do, and you know, you guys are doing an amazing job. So just keep it going, keep it moving along. So I'm going to be watching, you know, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays, Wednesdays, anytime that I can. I'm always watching you guys. So appreciate everything you guys do.
No doubt. We want to continue for you to push us like you had us do the Baseball Media Day. That was a big thing, and it worked out well. We'll keep trying to push forward with that. I want to acknowledge Jose Perez. He is a alumni of Bethune-Cookman University. Also had a friend that kind of connected me and allowed me in the MEAC space at the time, for those that were part of it. And that was Debbie. She passed. And one of the things he acknowledged, and sometimes you don't even know that, but he said the way that you all came back, and particularly that last inning with that home run, he said, yeah, that was her smiling upon y'all to help get that done. So I wanted to shout them out, particularly just to acknowledge that presence of how they welcome me into the family. So it's natural that we're able to do this kind of thing. With that, we'll take our last break, come back on the other side. We'll turn it back on over to the Indy group and allow them to close out in their particular way. But I want to thank and acknowledge these two guys and the other two members of the show in terms of giving us this opportunity to come on the platform and let them know live that I appreciate the work you're doing, that you took this opportunity to extend HBCU Lab so our fans have another day of the week, and particularly get to take that deep dive on the Indy side that we think needs to get more support. And y'all took it up to do that. So appreciate y'all. Want to acknowledge that. With that, we'll take this last break, give it back to the team, and let them have it on the other side.
Congratulations again, Coach. Kill them in the regionals, my man. Kill them.
Yep.
Take care of business.
Hail Wildcats.
All right.
Hail Wildcats. Yes, indeed.
That's
Hail
right.
Wildcats.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, people trying to get down. It's like a loot machine.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Sonia from She Say Sports. Make sure to check us out every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on Black College Sports Network, YouTube, and Linktree. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball, So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Welcome back to Dr. Cavil's Inside HBCU Sports Lab. This is the Indy Report. I'm here with my brother Tariq Wilson. I have some news clippings. You know, we've been gone for a couple of weeks. Some championships have been won. We could talk about that a little bit. I wanted to get in the track a little bit, but it's been on a rain delay this entire time. Auntie had a few folks that are competing in the East Regionals, and I was trying to look at the 110-meter hurdles, and they haven't done much of anything today because of the rain, because of the weather. But I wanted to get your thoughts on the news that the CIAA is staying in Baltimore until 2029, I believe.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. I think it seems like the party is better in Charlotte, or was, but it must be a better situation in Baltimore. So I was a little shocked that it didn't go back to Charlotte, because people seem to miss it every year. So I was a little shocked by that, but the numbers must be better up in Baltimore.
Yeah, so it's through 2030, just for the sake of accuracy.
That's pretty significant, actually.
Yeah, it's going to be there for the remainder of the decade. I went to the tournament in 2023. 2023. I'll get my years mixed up when it was in Baltimore. And I will say, man, it was set up pretty well. The games were pretty good. Folks were coming to the games. They still had their parties. It was where I was staying. It was walking distance from the arena. It was phenomenal setup. And I think when I talked to Stephen Gaither about it in the past, shout out to him from HBCU Game Day, he told me that it boiled down to ultimately, because I never actually went to the one in Charlotte. It pretty much was party city. Like, folks weren't going to the games.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
I mean, and I think from the CIAA's perspective, that's important to them. They want folks to actually attend the games. And I think folks were more focused on outside of the games. I used to have a running joke, like there used to be like when presidents were running when folks were running for president, the primaries would happen typically in those states, in South Carolina in particular, during the CIAA tournament.
Yeah,
and those folks ain't going to vote. The folks are down in Charlotte having a good time and not going to the games.
I've been in the Raleigh Durham area, so this year I've been to a couple basketball mini games. So I always try and see different games. So I went to a couple Duke games, but probably the best game I went to this year was Shaw, I think, versus Claflin. Because the game was fast. They were super athletic. And it was like you right on top of. Literally, like you right there. So if you really like hoops, it's a good tournament to go watch. So I can see why they would prioritize that. But it was good basketball.
No. It was, and the thing is, like, the year that I went, Winston won it. Winston won on the men's side, and I believe Elizabeth City State won on the women's side, if I recall that year. And it was intense. Like, it was intense. The whole tournament was intense, and there were games constantly. There was always games, and the prices were reasonable. Hotel prices were reasonable. Food was great. Food was reasonable as well. So I think, like, Baltimore got it right. There's a lot of things that Charlotte still hasn't resolved, and I think one of the big things that came out of that article, and yes, Lynn, I did read the article, was the fact that they wanted to have it in Bojangles and not the Spectrum Center, and like the CIAA wanted it uptown in Charlotte, and they already had conflicts. So ultimately, Charlotte dropped the ball here. Like,
that's a whole big different experience to put at Bojangles instead of downtown. That's like, come on, man.
Yeah,
that's a different tournament, man.
Yeah, so like when you take all those things into account, like, I know folks was kind of shocked that they left, and then Charlotte, I think the city might have had some level of it. This is just me opinionating about it. They might have had an ego about, we'll get them back, but you got to understand, you got to earn them back,
right?
And the way that they left was not on the best of terms, with everything that was going on, with how much you charge for the hotels and everything else. So you got to be ready. I think there's other cities in the state of North Carolina that's probably more prepared. Like Greensboro probably could do it. Raleigh could probably do it. I don't know if Charlotte. I think Charlotte was talking about, they came out with some statement saying, we have the SEC tournament lined up. Well, then you got the SEC tournament.
Right.
Like, what am I going to say? You got the SEC.
I mean, that's kind of crappy too to respond like that. Like, well, we ain't need y'all anyway. Well,
you got the SEC tournament and Baltimore can get the CI. Like,
right.
It is what it is. Now, I think what would probably take it up to another level, and it is in a pretty good state of affairs right now where it's currently in Baltimore, is if Bowie State makes a run. Like, that hasn't happened yet. If Bowie State makes a run, that would be big. Because Winston, the Rams, I don't like them, but they were out there. I gotta give them credit. They traveled, they were out in them streets. All right. But if Bowie State can make a run, that would be big, to say the least. Do you have any other news before we adjourn? I just wanted to get your thoughts on the move to Charlotte.
One day we got to talk about this transfer portal, man. Hampton got decimated. I mean, I think they rebuilding. They got some good players coming. You're always gonna be able to rebuild, but man, we lost guys to all levels of and all guys and girls. I mean, so I just want to talk about what it means to our sports and just how folks look at the teams after that, because I'm all for it, freedom of movement and getting paid, but from just a fan perspective, I don't like it. But brothers, everybody got to get paid and be able to move, but it makes the sports a little dumb. Because I mean, like Hampton this week, they announced their Hall of Fame folks, and one of the headliners is Jerome Mathis. If everybody remembers Jerome Mathis, the wide receiver. Under the current landscape, there's no way he stays at Hampton. No way he
That's
stays at Hampton and gets into the whole. So I'm saying, how does that make sports differently? Like, will you ever have a player like that stay and become a legend at your school? And how does that? I'm trying to figure out how I feel about it as a fan. I want to see Hampton win, but it changes the game a little bit. So I want to talk about that one day.
Well, we're gonna make it happen, man. I mean, maybe we could try to shoot to do it next week. Next week we could probably try to make it happen. But I will say this: when it comes to it, it comes down to the cash, man. We gotta Coach Gibbs said something during prior to the spring game. And his comment was, "I can get him here. I gotta have the NIL to keep him here."
Yep.
As simple as that. He's like, I can find him. I found Bashar Tootin. It's like, I can find him. That ain't the problem. I can get him to A&T. I gotta keep him at A&T.
Yeah,
and that's the next phase, right? So let me go ahead and get the outro going, because I know we got the ONG Strike Zone coming up next. Thank you for listening to Inside HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I'm David L. Rhodes with Tariq Wilson. Shout out to Dr. Kiana Cavil and Charles Bishop for making an appearance, and shout out to Coach Johnny Hernandez as well. Good luck to them in the tourney. We will look forward to next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Make sure you follow myself at ChampD1012 on Twitter, and go to HUPirateShip.com to check out what the good folks at Hampton University is doing. I don't want to kill you, man. I'm sorry, Tariq. All right. Make sure you follow Inside HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook and Inside HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Dream big and continue to move forward. We'll talk to you soon. Tariq.
Of course.
Lecture dismissed. All right.